starting on our bottoms, feeling those sitting bones melting into our mat. Taking a couple of deep breaths in through our nose and out through our mouths. Just settle in and bringing our thoughts inward. Bringing our focus into our practice. We'll take a bit to set an intention for this time, whether it be to just stay in the moment, or if there is a body part or a pose that we would like to focus on as we practice on our own, or if it is something a little bit more abstract. And inhale, we'll lengthen in that spine. Pull the shoulders back, open the chest, and then slowly we'll just walk our hands around to the right, little twist here. It's like a little wake up switch. And then back around to the center. Lengthen on that inhale, and then exhale around to the left. Good. And then back to the center, and then over to the right. We'll do this one more time, each side. And back to the center on that inhale. Big long exhale, twisting to the left. And back to the center. Lift those hands up to the sky. Little tiny arch in our back. And then exhale, we'll fold forward round so we can even tuck our chin. And just melt down toward the ground. And then inhale, we'll roll our way up. Hands come up high, little tiny arch. And then exhale, slowly lower down into a fold. And then back up to the top. Lift those hands up high. And then exhale, we'll take them over to one side, opening up in the side body. So we'll stack those shoulders and we'll reach up and over with that top hand. And inhale up. And then exhaling down to the other side. Lengthening from our hip to our fingers. And inhale up. Good. Exhale, cactus arms. Let's open up that chest. Pull the shoulders back behind us. And inhale up. And then exhale, let's fold forward. And this time, keeping our backs a little bit straighter as we walk those hands out in front of us. And then continuing to crawl those fingers forward, we'll roll over those shins and find our way onto our hands and our knees, opening the fingers wide, pressing into each little digit. Lifting from those shoulders, knees are underneath of our hips. Exhale, let's round into a cat, lifting the spine up to the sky, tucking the tail and the chin. And then inhale to a little cow. Exhaling cat. Inhaling cow. lifting the heart and the tail. Exhale, cat one more time. And inhaling, cow. And then we'll find ourselves back in our neutral spine. We'll tuck those toes behind us. We'll lift the knees, engage that core, and then slowly lower them down, keeping our tummies nice and strong, barely lifting those knees up off of the floor, pressing into those hands and to the toes, and then exhaling down with those knees. One more time, inhale, lift the knees. And now let's press all the way back into a downward facing dog. Wiggle it out, find where we want our hands and our feet. Pedal the knees, wiggle the tail. Lengthen in that spine, pulling the shoulders away from the wrists. Tummy is working towards those thighs. Good. And then we'll slowly walk those feet forward, up towards our hands, into a forward fold. Bending the knees, releasing the head, so we're just nice and soft and hanging here in our fold. And then slowly, slowly, we'll roll our way up to the top. Hands come up high. And then exhale, let's bring those hands down to our hearts, pressing into those palms, pulling the shoulders back. Nice and tall with our whole body working together. Then we'll step back with our left foot and open our feet up a little bit wider than our hips. We're not super wide, just a little bit wider than our hips. We'll point those toes out to the corners. Elbows will come to our ribs, pulling the shoulders back. Inhale, let's lift up high. And then exhale, sit down into a moonflower. Little squat here. Inhale up. And exhale down. Inhale up. And exhale down. One more time. Inhale up. Exhale, sitting down into that squat. Elbows are to our ribs. Chest is high. Tails are tucked. Knees are over those ankles. Good. Inhale, nice and high. And now sitting down into that squat, hands will come to our thighs. We're just going to hinge at the hips just a little bit. And we're just going to do some little shoulder dips here. So exhale, we'll just take our right shoulder down to the center and we'll turn the left shoulder back behind us. And back to the center and over to the other side. Left shoulder down, right shoulder's working back with those ribs. And back to the center. Again, right shoulder down. And back. And left shoulder down. And back to the center. Inhale, lifting high, keeping those feet nice and wide. Let's hinge forward into a wide-legged forward fold. Let's walk those hands around to the top of our mats. We'll step forward with that left foot and we'll find ourselves in a forward fold again. Bending the knees, rounding and rolling our way up. Lifting those hands high. And then exhale, little tiny back bend here. Lifting the heart to the sky, hips come forward. And then softening the knees, exhale, let's fold forward. Hands find our mat, and we'll step back into our downward facing dog. And we'll inhale forward into our version of plank. Plank can be on our toes or on our knees. Then we'll exhale, lower down to our tummies. Soften the feet behind us. Hands are underneath of our shoulders. Inhale, let's scoop that chest forward and then up, using those back muscles to lift into a baby cobra. And then we'll tuck those toes, press into our mats, into a downward facing dog. Good. Stepping or jumping up to the top of our mats into a forward fold. And lifting all the way up to the sky. Exhale, tiny back bend here. Inhale, and then exhale down to our forward fold, hinging at the hips. And then stepping back, downward facing dog. Inhale, let's come forward to our plank. Exhale, lower down. Inhale to our baby cobra. Tucking those toes, pressing back to our downward facing dog. Bending our knees, looking forward, stepping or hopping to the top of our mats into our fold. Bending the knees, rolling our way up. Good. Hands come to our hearts in prayer, sitting down into our chair here. Lifting our hearts, pulling those shoulders back, tucking the tail. And inhaling all the way up high. And exhale, hands come down to our sides in Tadasana. Pressing into all four corners of our feet. Activating those thighs, our glutes, our tummies, our backs. Lifting our hearts, reaching down with those fingers. Lifting from the top of the head, lengthening in the neck. And then inhale, let's lift those hands up high. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale to a flat back, long legs. Hands can come to our shins or to our toes or the ground. Exhaling down. Let's step back with our left leg into our lunge. All right, from here, we'll keep that left hand on the floor, lifting the right into our little twist. And back down to the mat. And let's step back, downward facing dog. Inhale forward into plank. Exhale down, chaturanga. Inhale, we can do our cobra or come up to upward facing dog. We'll tuck those toes, press back with the hands for downward facing dog. Lift up that right leg. Press the heel back behind us, lengthen all the way from our fingertips to that heel. And then we'll bring the knee into our chest, shifting forward into a pigeon. So placing that right knee back behind the right wrist, softening the left foot. And stay here for 5 big breaths. One last exhale. And then we'll tuck that left toe, press into the hands, step back, 3-legged dog. And then stepping forward with that right foot into our lunge. And then to the top of our mat with our left foot, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, we'll fold. And inhale, slowly roll our way up. Hands come down to our hearts, squeezing those thighs together, sitting down into our chair. Good. Inhaling high. Exhaling Tadasana. Mountain pose. Inhale, let's lift those hands up high. Exhale, spilling ourselves forward into our fold. Inhale to a flat back, long legs. And exhaling, folding. Hands find the floor. We'll step back with our right foot this time into our lunge. And then our right hand will stay on the floor. Left hand comes up for the twist. Lowering back down, pressing into those hands. Let's step back, downward facing dog. Inhale forward. Exhale, we lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Tuck those toes, press back, downward facing dog. Let's lift up that left leg, reaching back for three-legged dog. And then we'll bring that knee into our chest and set ourselves up for pigeon on this side. Lowering that left knee down behind our wrist, softening the right foot, evening out those hips. And another 5 breaths here. One more inhale. Stay for that exhale. Then tuck that right toe, press into the hands, step back, three-legged dog. And then we'll step forward into our lunge at the top of our mat. The right foot will come forward to meet the left into our forward fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, we'll fold. And then rounding and rolling as we rise up to the top. Hands come together. Let's sit down into that chair. Good. Inhaling up. Exhaling, hand comes down to the sides for Tadasana. Good. Inhale, hands come up high. Exhale, little back bend here, lifting the heart. And back up to the top, and then exhale, let's fold forward. Inhale to our flat back, half lift. Exhale, we'll fold, and then we'll take about half of a step back or 3/4 of a step back for warrior one with that left leg. Left leg goes back, right leg forward. Bending that right knee, pulling the left hip forward. Hands can come up above our head or to our hearts. Breathing all around, even into our backs. Keep those muscles firing. And now hands will come back, we'll lean forward, bringing all of our weight onto that right foot and come up into warrior three. Oops, a little windy in my room today. Balancing on that right foot, reaching back with the left. And then softening that right knee, stepping way back with that left. And we'll open ourselves up for warrior two. So now we've done all of the warriors. Lifting that right hand up to the sky, lowering the left for reverse warrior. And then lengthening that right leg, sassing the hips back behind us, reaching forward. And then we'll lower that right arm, raise the left for triangle. Stay here for a few breaths. Lifting from the inside of those thighs, pressing down into our feet, lifting the ribs, lengthening the spine. Lots of stuff going on here. And then slowly back to our warrior two. See how adventurous we're feeling today. Again, we're going to shift that weight forward onto that right leg so that we can lift the left. We're still open to the left this time though, and then hinging at the hips. We'll lower into half moon. Let's do one more breath. We can do it. And then bending that right knee, stepping all the way back for warrior two. Good. Let's lengthen that right leg again. We're going to turn into revolved triangle now. So left hand comes down. If we need to touch the shin, that's completely fine, or if we've got a block. And then softening that right knee, both hands can find the floor. Step back, downward facing dog. Let's pedal it out. That was a lot of warrior stuff. Good job. And let's settle into our downward facing dog for a couple of breaths here. And then we'll inhale forward. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale to our upward facing dog or our cobra. And then we'll tuck those toes and press back for downward facing dog. And then stepping or hopping forward to the top of our mat into our forward fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, we'll fold. Inhaling all the way up high. Exhale, bringing those hands and legs together, sitting down into our chair. Inhaling up. Exhaling, hands come down to our Tadasana. We can even close our eyes. Feel the connection that we have to the earth as we prepare ourselves to do the other side. When we're ready, we'll bring those hands up to the sky. Exhale, little back bend here. Inhaling up, softening the knees, exhaling to our forward fold. Inhale to our flat back. Exhale, we'll fold. And then we'll take that little step back for our warrior one. Toes are at about a 45-degree angle with that right leg, pulling that right hip forward, bending the left knee and rising up, pressing in even to that back heel. Good, and now we'll take those arms back behind us, reaching back, but leaning forward. All of the weight comes onto that left foot, right leg comes up. So now our hips are pointed down to the mat in our warrior three. Do one more breath. We can do it. And then exhaling, softening that left knee. Big step back with that right and working our way into warrior two. Bending the left knee, lengthening the right, opening our hips out to the right this time. And then lifting that left hand, dropping the right for reverse warrior. And then lengthening the left leg, sassing those hips back behind us, reaching forward, lengthening all along inside those ribs, and then lowering the left hand, raising the right for triangle, stacking the shoulders, still pulling those hips away. And then we'll soften that left knee, come back to our warrior two, and then begin to reach with that left arm, shifting the weight to that left foot, keeping our hips open to the right, and then hinging down for our half moon on this side. Beautiful. Slowly bend that left knee, stepping back, find our warrior two. Woo! And then lengthening that left leg, and then working our way into revolve triangle. So right fingers are going to reach forward and down. Left hand comes up. Good, and then softening that left knee, both hands down to the mat, finding our lunge for a brief moment, and then stepping back, downward facing dog. Pedal it out, give ourselves that wiggle, and then settle in to our downward facing dog, pressing into all of our fingers, our toes, pulling back away from those wrists, lifting our tail up toward the sky, bending the knees if we need, and then begin to slowly lower those heels, for the general vicinity of the earth. Good, let's inhale forward. Exhale, we lower down. Inhale to our back bend, cobra or upward facing dog. Tuck those toes, press back for down dog. And then slowly we'll work our way toward the top of our mat into our forward fold. Let's bend those knees generously, roll our way up. Hands come up high. Bringing them together at the top, let's sit down into our chair. Press into those palms to open the shoulders and the chest, sit down, tuck the tail. Find our breath. And now from here, let's do a little twist. Let's take that right elbow around to the left knee. And then slowly we'll come back to the center. Inhale, let's come all the way up. We'll shake those legs out before we come back down, because we've been in there for a little bit. And then exhale, let's sit down into our chair. Once we find the pose, lengthen on that inhale, and we'll take the left leg or left arm to the right leg. And then from here, let's release all the way down to a forward fold. Bending the knees, inhale, let's rise up. Exhale to Tadasana, hands to our sides. Reaching with those fingers, lifting from the top of the head. Good. And now let's, if we would like, we can totally challenge ourselves here. Let's take those arms out in front of us and we'll work our way into eagle pose. All right, so we'll take this right arm over the top of the left, crisscross at the elbows, and then bring them around into this little twisty business here. Very good. And then we're going to shift our weight onto our right foot and begin to lift our left foot up off of the ground. And now, if this is enough, this is where we're at. We can also crisscross those legs and do our best to balance here. If you have the ability, you can wrap that foot all the way around the right leg. And then we can slowly lower that bum down. Good. And then coming up, unwinding, releasing the hands. Let's bring them up nice and high. And exhale into a fold. Let's step back to a downward facing dog from here. Inhale forward. Exhale, we'll lower down to our tummies all the way down. Soften those feet. And we'll bring those elbows underneath of our shoulders. Spread the fingers wide. And then into Sphinx pose we go, scooping the chest forward and then up as we gently press into our mats with our forearms and our fingers. If we are happy here, we stay here. If we would like, we can open up those hands a little bit more, 45, and press in and lift a little higher into like a little seal stretch. If we get here and we decide we don't like it, we come back in. One more breath here. Exhale, let's release down. Hands underneath of our shoulders. We'll tuck the toes and we'll press back, downward facing dog. Looking forward, stepping or hopping to the top of our mats. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, we'll fold. Rolling our way up. And exhale, Tadasana here. 1 or 2 full breaths in Tadasana. Find our strength and our balance as we move over to the other side for eagle. When we're ready, arms can come out in front of us. And before we went right over left, now we're gonna go left over right, cross at the elbows. Do our best to wrap all the way around. Pull those shoulders away from our ears, hands away from our faces. Once we are set up there, we lower or bring our focus down to our lower half, pressing into that left foot, finding our balance, lifting the right, and then we'll cross that right leg over, find where we're at on this side, lower down into a little bit of a sit. Do 2 more breaths. Stay for that exhale. And then slowly we rise, unwind, release the hands, all the way up to the sky. Exhale, we fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhaling down, hands find the mat, and we'll step back for downward facing dog. Inhale forward. Exhale down. Release those feet. Bring those legs together. We don't want them nice and wide. Bring them together. And now we're going to have those hands come down by our hips. Take a breath here. And then into a little half locust here. So reaching our hands back towards our toes. We're going to lift our chest up off of the mat. Let's do 1 more breath. And then all the way down. Take a breath here. Find our hands underneath of our shoulders, and we're just going to go back to our child's pose. Woo! Hips are over our heels, arms are out in front of us. Rounding in that low back. Even tuck our chin, round up high. And we'll swish those feet over to one side and help ourselves up to seated. Bring those legs out in front of us. And then let's take those feet and bring them together sole to sole for bound angle. So our hands can come to our toes or to our ankles. Find those sitting bones. And then let's open up those feet like a book. Take these few breaths to give your body the A-OK to relax into those hips. Let gravity do some of the work, most of the work. One more breath. Good. And then we'll just release those feet. Bring the knees together. Then we'll lengthen this left leg out in front of us. Right knee is still bent. We're just going to cross it over the top of that left thigh. Find both of our sitting bones working in towards our mat. We can hug that knee into our body with our left arm. And then the right arm can find a spot behind us. We lengthen on that inhale and begin to turn to the right, opening up those ribs behind us. Even bring our gaze back behind us over that right shoulder. Continue to hug the knee in, but also press this right hip down into our mat. Good. And then we'll come back to the center, release that leg, and then come all the way around to the left. Tiny counter twist here. So hands will just find the spot on the floor. We'll just bow our head. And coming back to the center. We'll uncross that right leg and place the foot to the inside of that left thigh for Janu Shirshasana. And then we'll turn to center over that left leg. Left toes are pointed up to the sky. And then from here, we're trying to bring that chest toward the toes, attaching that low belly to the upper thigh, walking our way down, keeping the back as straight as we can. Can reach those toes, absolutely. If we have a strap, we can definitely use that. A strap or a towel works really well in a pinch. And then we'll release and walk our way back up. And then we're still in this Janu Shirshasana business. Our right hand finds the floor behind us. We're going to press into this right shin, into the left foot, and lift our hips up to the sky for stargazer pose. Opening those shoulders up toward the sky, swooping the arm up over our head. You can even say swoop. Lifting those hips, arch in the back. We can release our head if we'd like. And then slowly we'll lower ourselves back down. And then we'll just bring both feet to the mat. Take a breath here or two, whatever we need. And then when we're ready, that right leg will come out long. And then keeping that left knee bent, crossing it over that thigh. Hugging with the right hand. Placing the left hand behind us. And then think about this left hip working down toward the mat. As we lengthen on that inhale, twist on the exhale. And coming back to the center. All the way around to the right, little counter twist here, just a gentle bow. And then back to the center. We'll uncross that leg and place the foot to the inside of this right thigh, pointing the toes up to the sky on that right leg, centering our chest over it, lengthening on that inhale, and we'll slowly fold forward. On the exhale, use our breath. We'll release those toes. Walk our way back up to seated. We'll take that left hand back behind us. Press into our mats with that left shin and the right heel as we swoop our way up for stargazer. Point those right toes, see if they can find the ground. Open up our chest toward the sky. And then slowly we'll lower our way back down to our butts. We'll bring both feet to the mat, bend our knees, and then we're ready to rock back onto our backs. We can give ourselves a little rock and roll. And then we'll hug those knees into our chest. We even bring our head in towards our knees, roll up into our little egg. And then inhale, hands and feet come up to the sky. And roll around in the ankles and the wrists for Krakalasana. Point and flex, wiggle the toes and the fingers. All those last second wiggles out. One more inhale, reach, and then exhale slowly, slowly. We'll lower our limbs down to our earth below us. Once we find our mats, give ourselves one last big stretch. And then final exhale. Release everything for Shavasana. Close our eyes. We soften our jaw. And at first we breathe deeply. Get rid of any tension that we might still be holding. Permit ourselves to just be still. Let our mind wander where it might. And begin to deepen our breath. Wiggle our fingers and our toes. We ease ourselves back into our space. And then when we're ready, we'll bring our knees in toward our chest. And we'll lower ourselves down onto a side. And we'll gently help ourselves up to seated. Inhale, bringing our hands up toward the sky, connecting them at the top, and then exhaling them down to our hearts with gratitude. I'm also thankful that you joined me today, allowed me to share my practice with you and yours with me. I feel very, very blessed to have such fantastic people and souls that join me. I wish you all a very, very happy day, filled with sunshine and warmth and peace. The light and the divine in me recognizes and respects the light and the divine in each of you. And when we are together, whether physically or virtually, we are one. Namaste.